This is going to be a long one. Stick around for this one. So, Axios, it's about 11 a.m. on Wednesday, August 6th, 2025. Axios has a story out today. MAGA expectations soar over Russia grand jury probe. This is that fabricated bullshit that Tulsi Gabbard put out about 3 weeks ago to try to get her seat back at the table after she publicly contradicted Donald Trump on Iran's nuclear program. And she put out this gibberish report saying that the intelligence agencies under Obama, with the participation of James Comey, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, misrepresented Russia's capabilities to hack into voting machines for the 2016 election in order to somehow do a coup on Donald Trump. It doesn't make any sense. It literally doesn't make any sense. And it ignores all of the factual information that has come out about Russia's interference in the 2016 since then. And so the article says the threat of criminal charges targeting Trump enemies such as James Comey, John Brennan, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden is no longer confined to the MAGA base imagination. Pam Bondi has told, she's given the order to impanel a grand jury to supposedly bring indictments against these people. Now, she will probably be able to bring indictments against people because defendants don't get to participate in the grand jury process. They don't get to present their case during a grand jury. The grand jury only sees evidence that is presented to them by the prosecution. And the prosecutor is Pam Bondi. And Pam Bondi is Donald Trump's supplicant. Okay? And she's obviously very aware that Donald Trump loves this report that Tulsi Gabbard put out. So she could present just those materials to the grand jury and frame it in a way that they could return indictments against all of these people. James Brennan, James Clapper, James Comey, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, and any number of other people who were part of the intelligence community towards the end of 2016, going into 2017 before Inauguration Day. What the intelligence community assessed during that period of time was two things, and Tulsi Gabbard is conflating them under the word hack. The intelligence communities and a Senate Intelligence Committee and the Mueller Report and multiple other investigations concluded conclusively with documented evidence and trials and guilty pleas and convictions and prison sentences that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to benefit Donald Trump and to hurt Hillary Clinton. That is documented. Tulsi Gabbard and Pam Bondi are ignoring that. They're conflating that with the intelligence community said that Russia never had the capability to hack into voting machines to change vote totals. There's that word hack again. And that's accurate. But Tulsi Gabbard and Pam Bondi are saying that the intelligence community somehow twisted that to do a coup on Donald Trump as he was coming into office in January 2017. So what are they ignoring? They're ignoring the fact that Paul Manafort, Donald Trump's campaign manager during 2016, met repeatedly with a guy named Konstantin Kilimnik who was connected to Russian intelligence and gave him confidential information on the campaign. Paul Manafort was later prosecuted by Donald Trump's DOJ and was sentenced to prison and only got out after Donald Trump pardoned him. Roger Stone, same thing, prosecuted by Donald Trump's DOJ, sent to prison for his role in all of this bullshit and didn't get out until Donald Trump pardoned him. Mike Flynn, Donald Trump's national security advisor, called the Russians after Obama issued sanctions against Russia for interfering in the 2016 election. Mike Flynn called his Russian counterpart and said, hey, don't respond to these sanctions. We'll be in office in a couple of weeks and we'll take them out. And then he lied to the FBI about that. And he pled guilty to doing that twice and was awaiting sentencing when Donald Trump pardoned him. I'm just going to read a couple of things from the executive summary of Volume 1 of the Mueller Report, all of which is documented, all of which has supporting evidence, all of which can be proven in court. And look, Pam Bondi, Donald Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, they want an investigation against these people. They want indictments against these people. They don't care what happens after that. Investigations are incredibly expensive for defendants. And if Pam Bondi can get indictments against Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, James Clapper, James Brennan, James Comey, then theoretically she would be able to have them arrested and they would get their mugshots taken. And those mugshots would be released publicly. What do you think the MAGA base would do with mugshots of Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden, and James Comey? They don't care what happens after that. They want the merch. They just want the merch. Russian intelligence was running the Internet Research Agency out of St. Petersburg that carried out the earliest Russian interference operations in the United States, identified by the Mueller investigation. The Internet Research Agency later used social media accounts and sent teams of people to the United States to use Facebook and Twitter and Instagram to sow discord within the United States. That's documented. It's proven. It's documented. It's proven that they did that for the benefit of Donald Trump, for the detriment of Hillary Clinton. That's documented. Russia hacked servers, email servers at the DNC and the DCCC. They stole thousands of emails. They fished John Podesta and got all of his emails. And on the first or second day of the Democratic National Convention in 2016, they released a bunch of those emails showing how the DNC fucked over Bernie Sanders. And that caused a lot of turmoil at the convention. The presidential campaign of Donald Trump showed interest in WikiLeaks releases of documents and welcomed their potential damage to candidate Clinton. Russia, if you're listening, you remember that press conference when Katie Tur was questioning him and he said, Russia, if you're listening, go find Hillary Clinton's missing emails. And then Russia immediately started hacking into servers at the DNC and the DCCC and stole hundreds of thousands of emails. It's so easy because there can't be a trial in any of these cases because this is the defense, all of which has already been proven. If charges are filed, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a motion to dismiss the charges based on the Mueller report, the bipartisan Senate report that was led by Marco Rubio that found conclusively that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to benefit Donald Trump and to hurt Hillary Clinton. A bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee led by Republicans. This is how fucking stupid the MAGA base is. George Papadopoulos, you remember him? Went to prison. Carter Page, I don't think he was prosecuted, but he was under investigation because of his constant contacts with Russia. Paul Manafort did go to prison. Mike Flynn did go to prison, both of whom were pardoned by Donald Trump. On December 20th, here's the meat of the Tulsi Gabbard shit that Pam Bondi's talking about. On December 29th, then President Obama imposed sanctions on Russia for having interfered in the election, which they did. Incoming National Security Advisor Mike Flynn called Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak and asked Russia not to escalate the situation in response to the sanctions. The following day, Putin announced that Russia would not take retaliatory measures in response to the sanctions at the time. Hours later, President-elect Donald Trump tweeted, "Great move on delay by Vladimir Putin." The next day, on December 31st, Kislyak called Flynn and told him the request had been received at the highest levels and Russia had chosen not to retaliate as a result of Flynn's request. Russia's interference in the 2016 election to benefit Donald Trump and to hurt Hillary Clinton is probably the most documented thing that has ever occurred over the last decade, apart from all of the footage of January 6th at the Capitol. and Tulsi Gabbard and Pam Bondi and Donald Trump are saying that Democrats cooked this all up to hurt Donald Trump's incoming presidential campaign or presidential term. I mean, on January 6, 2017, members of the Intelligence Committee briefed President-elect Trump on a joint assessment drafted and coordinated among the CIA, FBI, and National Security Agency that concluded with high confidence that Russia had intervened in the election through a variety of means to assist Trump's candidacy and harm Clinton's. A declassified version of the assessment was publicly released that same day. If this was a coup, why the fuck didn't Donald Trump and Bill Barr prosecute any of these people during his first term? He had 4 years. If this was an illegal, treasonous coup, why didn't Trump prosecute any of these people during his first term? Example number 2 of how fucking stupid these MAGA people are. He had 4 years. It is so easy to debunk this. And there's literally nothing about anything that Tulsi Gabbard is talking about. There's nothing that Pam Bondi is talking about. There's absolutely nothing relative to this that Donald Trump or J.D. Vance or anybody on Fox News is talking about that is going to stand up in a court of law for 2 seconds. It's a joke. And the only reason that it's gaining traction is because Donald Trump's supporters are the stupidest, most gullible people, so incredibly easily manipulated, that this country has ever been saddled with. They're just the dumbest fucking people we have ever had to coexist with. They're so incredibly dumb.